but he was.
He was.
He had a lovely poem about the screaming plane. He was also, he has two personae. He has three personae. He's a straight actor, he's a Seanachaí, and he's also a craftsman. Don't ever forget that.
But I have said it before, that the training you get as a craftsman, like the stonecutter, he must have a bed and a face to the stone, so he must start somewhere.
Yes.
And in the same way, the carpenter who is making a jamb for a door, he has to have a straight face and a straight edge. And when that's at the right angle, then all the other measurements can be taken from that. And I found that that fundamental preparation was of extreme value. When I came to, you get the first reading of a play to the work that you get in the character.
You were born with a distinct advantage over myself and Brian.
You think so?
Yes, because you have a rogue's face, and he can take a word or a phrase or a sentence, and he can swing it like that, like a hypnotist's pendulum in front of you, so that he captivates you, and you're totally speechless while he's talking. Until you see his story finished, he just captures. It's a magician's art.
But when he came, he fastened on to indigenous humour, native humour, which was raw material in the countryside, and you focused into something new. And the people, you know, then collapsed in the aisles with the simple stories of their surroundings, when it exemplifies something which I'm always talking about. Yeah, it's very precious. Art comes up out of the clay, and is refined in the cities. And then when it's blown, the seeds grow back over the countryside again.
You and John, you have done that, you know, as you have done that because you have written out of Kerry.
In my plays, there's many a line and a bit of a line by Kelly, because whenever they'd be stuck and when I wouldn't be there during rehearsals, the bold airman would come along and stick in a line in my absence. And I remember they were rehearsing Sliabh at the Abbey after many a long day, and they were stuck for a verse. And Eamon wrote his own verse, and nobody knew the difference.
No.
So he has this uncanny knack as well for composition and for creation. He's a marvellous old fella, you know. Marvellous young fella, excuse me. Every time I see, you know, a comedian on television telling a story, I compare him with Eamon Kelly. Because Kelly has that, on the surface, he provokes or generates laughter, but there's more to him. He's deep, his roots go very, very deep, so that the flavour is left long after the story is told, and that's the true test of it.
Next time you pop into the post office, why not do more?
Sure, I always get the lottery tickets there.
Stamps that come with little stickers that really brighten up, say, a birthday card!
And then there's phone cards.
The post office, helping you do more.
When you need something really fresh, try new Radion. Radion's deep cleaning formula not only tackles tough stains, it also tackles odors to give you clean, fresh clothes. Radion gets your clothes deep clean and fresh.
The Arnott sale starts this Tuesday at 11 a.m. Arnott sale, now a bigger favorite than ever.
Sheridan IMAX Theater.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Liftoff.
The only word is wow.
Imagine a power that turns chaos into order, that can shape itself to your needs, that can even create space at your command. The new range of fridge freezers from Whirlpool.
Good luck, better man.
The poets, Eamon O'Reilly, Andrew O'Sullivan and Geoffrey O'Donoghue, were born in view of this mountain, as was Dr. Patrick Dineen, the Irish lexicographer. And Donnacha Ó Céalach, writing in his Life of Dineen on the Gneeveguilla, describes the paps in the following way. Ní Sliabh atá ann ach péire, iad có cosúla céile agus bhí éon cúpla a rugadh a riamh. Gá cí danan an enim, an sa a bhí cóna ag na múr dhéithe fadó, iad seo Olympus na hÉireann. It isn't one mountain we have here but two, as like as any twins that were ever born. The breasts of Dana, the goddess, is their name. This is the Olympus of Ireland. Many are the breasts of goddesses that have been carved by sculptors down the ages, but you can be certain that none can compare with the royal breasts of Dana for size, the Lord save us, for nobility and delicacy of carving. They were the work of the Creator, but it was mere mortals who built the nipples on top of them. Those men knew their business. They crowned beauty with beauty. The breasts of Dana, what we know as the paps, however they came to be called that name, it must be at a time when it wasn't polite to mention any part of the anatomy below the neck or above the ankles. Down here at the foot of the paps, we have Cahir Crovjarag, a centre of activity when our Lord was young or even before Homer nodded. Now it is called the city, and in its heyday it was surrounded by a high wall like Dún Aengus or Stegfort, but because the wall was built of small stones, it has now crumbled. Crovjarag himself, some say, was a high priest of the pagans. And Crov, according to Dineen, is the hand from the wrist down. And it was red from slaughtering animals, and for all we know, maybe humans, as a sacrifice to the gods on a high altar within these walls. In time, the place became Christianized. And now the people pray to St. Gobnet, the Ballyvourna saint. The first day of May is the patron day here. And when I was young, the roads used to be black with people coming to it. And I remember to see the lame and the blind and the halt lying by the wayside, and those with mortified limbs exposing their wounds, and in a loud chant calling for charity. The rounds were performed by walking inside and outside the wall, praying as you went, the Creed, the Our Father, so many Hail Marys, and the Glory, stopping every now and then at a station and making the sign of a cross on the stone, an odd number of times, 3, 5, or 7. And from the rubbing of the stone down the centuries, the cross is worn deep into it. And some people used to make a circle around the cross. At the end of the rounds, you came to the Holy Well, which I'm sure in pagan times was called the Well of Fruitfulness. To us Christians, it has curative properties for animals and for humans, and it is used to bless the crops. A poor man or a poor woman would stand in here, and they'd fill a tin mug called a ponny at the well, and they'd give it to each pilgrim, maybe getting a penny in return. And I remember when I was young, when the rounds were over and the praying was done, all the young people collected into Duggan's field, and the music struck up, and there'd be dancing until the night came down.
And the dance goes on here in John Dan's pub in Barraduff. People I grew up with, near relations and neighbours, gather here tonight to quaff a medium, sing and dance, and talk about old times.
People won't believe me when they see that there are so many good-looking people related to me. I'm good-looking neighbours as well. I want to talk now about dancing, a subject near to my heart. And I remember in Murphy's house near us, there used to be dance there on Sunday night. But even though that you had those dances, there were, the authorities frowned on them for some reason. And they used to be raided, parish priest and the curate might raid a dance. And some places they'd come by turning off the light to the car a good bit of way so there wouldn't be head coming. And some of you don't remember this, do you? You do. There was a famous Kerry footballer, you know, he was sitting behind the door and he had a girl on his knee. And he never felt a bit until the curate shined the light on him. You know, he got such a shock he never scored after. But there was this dance house, and the thing was in full swing. You know, the dancing around the kitchen, you see the light going up and down in the paraffin lamp. When the scouts used to be out to watch for the priest coming, and they said, he's coming up the boreen, he's coming up the boreen. So everyone, all of them made for the back door. The back door wasn't big enough to take the traffic, all going out. And all the girls' coats would be below in the room, you know, drawing the bed. And all the girls went down to get their coats to go. And the last one out of the room, she was the last one out of the house, she ran out the back door and into the muddy old yard. And you see, who was coming in the back way but the parish priest? And she ran straight into him. And he, to prevent himself from falling in the muddy old yard and ruining his new top coat that he bought that day in Hiller's Shape Sale, to prevent himself, he put his two arms around her. And she was blind after leaving the light, you know, she didn't know who it was. And she said, bad luck to you, she said, and you had up for a squeeze and the priest going in the front door. Brian, did you ever see me on the stage?
I did. Saw you on the stage when you staged the play by the Western World.
Good man.
And I was, in fact, that night, your father came up to me. I was looking away and I was delighted with it. And your father came up and he tipped me on the shoulder. Come on, Garsoon, he said. I was only young at the time, about 16, 17 years. Come on here, Garsoon, he said. That fellow is Seamus. Come out, he said. You were the playboy. And you were coming out and you were barefoot going onto the stage, and he could never imagine it all that. Of course, your father and my father were two different men altogether.
They were stationed in this house, and the day ahead of it was the day of a fair in Gneeveguilla, and I think it was back in 1932 when there was nothing for cattle or economic war.
I know, yes.
So the custom they had there was all the older people should eat with the canon and the priest after the station. Yes. The old man went up, the man was out to sell the cow for the 30 shillings in Gneeveguilla. And he was settled down above the table in Canon Carmen. He landed up and sat alongside him. By God, Canon, he says, times are very bad.
Yes.
I wouldn't say so, Canon. How do you mean that? The Canon says.
Yes.
Well, he said, I had a cow in Gneeveguilla yesterday. He said, you do sell it, the Canon said. I gave her away, he said. What did you get for it? He said, 30 shillings, he said. Oh, my said, the cannon rubbing his Johanna, this Johnny, you should think, he said, that's all a lot for 30 pieces of silver. They were bloody lucky cannon that I have my Gneeveguilla yesterday, so he wouldn't make half of it.
I came to Coolock in North Dublin in 1952. A county man of mine, St. Brendan, came here in the 6th century. He left his mark on the place. The parish, the church and schools, roads and drives are called after him. His holy well here was a place of pilgrimage up to 70 years ago. When I am not rehearsing, I take Hamish for a walk, and we sometimes drop into another well. This establishment has been in the Kyle family for 200 years. Larry Dowling, a regular, gives me a pinch of snuff, and we pray for the holy souls.
Again?
Again, yeah. Pick out any winners.
Hello there.
A retired hearse driver, John O'Shaughnessy, a comforter of those in trouble. He was on the stage too, a thing he mentions to his friends Mícheál Ó, Jerry DeVere, Dennis Mason, and myself.
A bamboozling.
Oh, that was the bamboozling show.
Yeah.
Sure. I believe you played the fiddle in that show, did you?
Oh, I did, yeah. I used to play for him. He used to come out on he was New Zealander, you know.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure you must have heard tell
I heard tell it from so many times.
He was a New Zealander, and he used to come out on the stage, and he came out in one outfit, and within 5 seconds he'd be off the stage and back on, and he'd have different clothes on. He used to say, same man, different clothes. I know. Same man, different clothes, you know. Yeah. So we had to have different music for, we had the music in front of us, you know, Mick. Oh, yeah, to suit his part. To suit his part, you know, soft music. And I remember one tune called, it was called The Sheik of Abbey. He was dressed up as a sheik. We had to have that.
You weren't working during the day at that time?
No, actually I wasn't working at that time. I'm going back now about, I think it was about 1947.
Oh, I see.
1947.
And then
I was very interested in show.
After that, you...
Well, I was, yeah, a couple of years with him, then I come back to Dublin, and I went into well, more or less into the funeral business, you know.
I know, saying goodbye to people.
Huh?
Saying goodbye to people.
Something like that.
Funeral
Letting
business.
them down.
Yeah. John, this verse now is in John B. Keane's play, the stage version of it, The Field. And the last time I sang this was in Moscow. He's left the old field where he played as a baby, the little white cottage that lies by the sea. The cradle that rocked him lies lonesome and shady as she thinks on those days that never will be. They're far from each other, she cries for her loved one by night and by morning since ever he died. She walks through the fields while the cold moon it shines down as she thinks on the fate of her poor blind boy.
But his humor is prodigious. He's a very funny man. He loves people, and he would go through the length of breadth of Ireland and bask in just meeting different people and talking to them. And that's what is remarkable. He's a national treasure. He could mix in with anybody. He picked up stories from people, but you only pick them up and remember them because you pay full attention to people, and that's why he's such a fond of information and why he's so funny.
There is more freedom to stretch one's legs in the city than in the country. Medals should be awarded to the gardening department of Dublin Corporation for the way they have developed and maintained these open spaces. Here we have roses and silver birches. This is St. Anne's Park, adjacent to my home, an ideal place to stroll when coming to terms with a new script. Here, as I walk, I can build a character as I con by rote and talk to the trees. When far from home, I miss places like the Malahide Estuary, a favourite haunt of Maura's and mine. The one-time companions of the children of Lir, always hungry, give us a royal welcome. Fergus Lenihan adapted Seamus Murphy's celebrated Stone Mad for me to play the part of the stone cutter, and so as to appear genuine on stage. I had to come up here to Roe O'Neill's quarry at the foot of the Dublin Mountains and work with the Stonies. I found my training as a carpenter of enormous help to me in handling the chisels and working the stone. The stone cutters in Stone Mad had a preference for stone from certain quarries. Stone was kind to work or tangled. And there was one Stoney, a county man of my own. Oh, he hated the stone from Fiery quarries. Fiery stone, that now is a whore of a stone, a bitch of a stone, a bloody treacherous stone, like the black bastard of a stone out of Templemore with a ring out of it like bell metal. I came to work at the Abbey during Tomás McConaughey's artistic directorship. Since then, I have worked with, among others, Hugh Hunt, Joe Dowling, Noel Pearson and Gary Hines. There was a time when the Abbey Company was the preserve of pale people. Ernan de Blyde was the first to open its doors to the regions. Now you can hardly take 5 steps in the place without bumping into an actor from Killorglin or Fermanagh.
Last year, 1990, we gave the Gradam to Eamon Kelly. A Gradam is a special medallion that we give to people who work in the Abbey and give, it's a lifetime achievement. And Eamon Kelly was the first actor to receive it. Hugh Hunt and Tomás McConaughey and Brian Friel received it this year. And it was a unanimous decision by the board and by the players in the company that this man had made such a contribution to the theatre that he should be the first actor to receive it.
Well, as an actor, I think he's unique in a way. He has an extraordinary present tense kind of sense about his acting. He's always absolutely there. There's a very real relationship with the audience and a very real kind of awareness of the audience. And that gives us sort of a vitality and a specialness about what he does.
This is the Abbey Theatre. And when the people come in at night and fill these seats, and the actors come on the stage, and the lights come up, if the mood is right and God looks down, this place could be sheer magic. Paddy Murphy emigrated to America when I was a child.
And when he heard that I was in New York in 1965 for Brian Friel's play, Philadelphia, Here I Come, he looked me up. Paddy had been there for 40 years, and he never saw a Broadway play, but he was going to see one now, seeing that a neighbour's child was tramping the boards. I got tickets for his party, and Paddy was fascinated by the kitchen scene on the stage, the people sitting around the table eating, the man of the house reading the newspaper, Madge washing the ware, and Gar, the son of the house, packing his suitcase